Hello everyone and welcome to Jackson2Patterson. This is just Jackson here today, and if this is your first time tuning into our videos, I thank you so much for tuning in. And if you are returning and a subscriber, then we appreciate all of your support. So today I just wanted to come and share a brief story time about what it was like to be a quadriplegic and have COVID. A lot of people have been asking in groups that I'm in what it was, if anyone if anyone has had COVID and they're a quadriplegic, or even some higher level paraplegics who don't have the ability to cough really well. And unfortunately, I got to go through the experience. So we all know 2020, like, it started off good. We probably all thought this is going to be our year. That changed quickly. And the funny thing is that I made it all the way to December. Social distancing, taking my vitamins, everything. COVID free. None of me nor my family, my fiance, nobody had gotten COVID, come in contact with it. We were all good. December rolls around. In this story, it's almost like I was forced to get COVID because it wasn't up to me. It wasn't any risky behavior that I was exhibiting. It wasn't anything that I was doing, you know, outside of the guidelines of, living safely during a pandemic that brought this upon me. But kind of the system that we have when it involves healthcare and people with disabilities, it kind of falls short during a pandemic, and I'm not really even sure what we could do to fix it. So, back on track. So, about the first week of December, my mom gets COVID. It started on a Wednesday, and she has allergies, and that is so tough during a time like this because you're thinking, my allergies occur all the time. Like, I can't automatically assume that I have COVID. But as soon as she started to have like a runny nose, she like wore her mask around the house and everything, and she got tested that following day. So the results didn't come back until that Sunday, and they were in fact positive. So once I found out about her positive results, we let people who were around us know. And at that time, I had a nighttime aide 3 days a week, and I had a regular aide or caregiver, however people call in their states, 5 days a week, for 8 hours during the day. So my nighttime caregiver, she decided, she was like, I don't want to risk it, so I'm not going to come while your mom has COVID, which is totally understandable. Like, who wants to contract an extremely contagious viral disease that affects your respiratory system, and you don't know if you're gonna live or die. So I totally respected her decision for that. But my daytime aide was like, you know what, we'll be good. You'll wear your mask, we'll practice social distancing, everything will be cool. So we did that. But unfortunately, since I didn't have my nighttime aide, my mom had to come in to help me at night. And she wore 2 masks, and we tried our best to keep me and everyone else in the household protected. But if you have a spinal cord injury, there are just certain needs that you have, like bowel program, that you have to do every day. And I do mine at night, and without my night aide coming, then my mom has to be the one to do it while she's sick with COVID. Like, fever, achy, super weak. She lost her sense of taste, her sense of smell. She was nauseous for a little while. Like, it was bad. So after a couple of days of her helping me in the evenings, I started to have a runny nose. And I was like, oh no. Maybe maybe it's just allergies. But once you're around somebody who has COVID or has anything like the flu, a cold, and you start to get those symptoms, you're pretty much like, I got it. I got it. So, um, the following day after I had the runny nose, and oh, also as it went on into the evening, I just could not warm up. And my fellow quads, you guys know that, of course, we can't regulate our body temperature, so not being able to warm up isn't out of the ordinary. But when you're under a heated blanket and sitting in front of a space heater and you're still cold and shivering, you probably have a fever. And I did. So the next day I went and got tested. 2 days later, the results came back positive for COVID. Now, the days that I was waiting to hear from my results, my symptoms weren't that bad. Like, thank God my whole COVID experience wasn't that bad because, as a quadriplegic, just having a regular cold, which I had like one cold since I had got out of rehab in the hospital, and you can't cough up juice when you're strangling on it. Like, how are you going to deal with a respiratory illness? How would you be able to deal with something like pneumonia and not go to the hospital? And my biggest fear with going to the hospital was that my breathing was going to be too low. They were going to say, oh, she's a quadriplegic. Her breathing is, not as high as your average able-bodied person anyway. So they would put me back on the vent. The first few days I had some weakness. My head would feel super foggy. Like I just couldn't think straight. I would have to tilt back in my chair and just kind of lay there. And I wasn't feeling too bad, so I wasn't that frightened. But the first week of my mom's illness, it just like gradually got worse and worse. So I was like, I'm like in day 3 and there's like 11 more days, hopefully just that I'll be going through this. So as somebody who has, a lower lung capacity, and I have weaker ab muscles, so it's extremely difficult to cough. I was scared. I was afraid. And I think the worst part of it for me was the postnasal drip. And when that stuff gets in your lungs and you need to cough it up like every 5 minutes, it was draining. I had to have someone do an assisted cough on me. My mom, my dad were both there helping me try to cough, and I mean, just to breathe. Like, can you imagine? Like, you can't breathe unless you can cough, and you can't cough good enough to breathe. It was quite scary, but one night in particular was really bad, and it was that Monday night after I found out the results. I was trying to cough before I went to bed, and it was like nothing was working, and I was just barely getting tiny breaths in. And my mom's like, do you want me to take you to the emergency room? Because it's not very far from us. And I just refused, because I felt like if I went to the emergency room or if I went to the hospital, that I would not come back, that I would be put on a ventilator, and then I would die, and then I'd be dead. And it's not funny, but now being, 2 months away from the situation, it's better. But in the moment, in that night, I was like, I can't breathe, and I don't know what I'm going to be able to do about it, especially when I was so stubborn and I was just like, no, I'm not going to go to the hospital. Luckily, she has a nebulizer machine and some albuterol, and she's been in the medical field for over 20 years, and she thought, like, you know what, let me give you a breathing treatment and that may help. And oh my gosh, let me tell you, like, literally just taking in as much of this breathing treatment as I could, and it helped. It totally helped. And after that, I was so exhausted from the coughing and not being able to breathe. It just took me back to those days in rehab when I would literally fall asleep in OT or PT because I was on the ventilator, and it's just so exhausting for you not to be able to breathe. So after that, I completely just laid there like limp, and my dad came over and like literally like slept next to me that night. But after the breathing treatments, it was so much better. And also another thing that totally helped was um, Breathe Deep tea by Yogi. I would have some of that, and my dad came over and boiled this concoction of lemons, limes, oranges, garlic, and ginger for us. So if you're watching this and you have COVID, or you know anybody who has COVID, or any cold or flu or anything like that, this tea, this brew drink is packed full of antibiotics, antioxidants, and that ginger just totally helps to break up any phlegm or buildup that you have in your chest. And we were drinking that every day while we were going through COVID, and it helped so much. So that Tylenol and the antibiotics and the prednisone to dry up all that mucus that my doctor prescribed helped. My mom also had an immune booster called nitrofuran, and we took that with zinc as well, and it really helped me get through the whole process. I always take my vitamins every single day, at least vitamin C, D, and magnesium. So I feel like my body was a little bit more prepared for COVID than maybe my mom's was, because if I had had it to like her extent, I think I might have just gave up. I'd have been like, just take me. No. Just call me up. Because that one night, I was like, ventilator or death. Ventilator or death. Death. Like, so I'm really thankful. So in conclusion, as a quad, my major symptoms when I had COVID were the drowsiness, the fogginess in my head that I could not sit up straight for long often, the fevers, which Tylenol really helped. If you have COVID, Tylenol, like it says on the package, every 4 to 6 hours, just do it. Because when that fever would set in for me, if you're a part of the SCI community, then you know about spasms. If you're not, then I mean, you can get the general gist. A muscle spasm is your muscles jerking or moving without you telling them to do so. And when I would have the fever, my arms would just be spasming and convulsing. Not even like my normal spasms, but at some moments at night, I couldn't sleep because my shoulders and my arms just wouldn't stop moving, and they were tightening up so much that it was painful. I would mentally tell myself to relax and listen to relaxing music and try to meditate, and it's good for about 30 seconds, and then there it goes again, my body just tightening up, and it was so painful. And when I would take that Tylenol, it would reduce that fever, stop those shakes, and everything would just, feel so much better. So I'm pretty sure everybody knows about the things that they say take, but for the natural remedies, that ginger, garlic, lemon, lime, orange just boiled in a pot, and then you can take all of your ingredients out and just leave that steeped liquid and have it in your fridge and drink it warm every day. I mean, it's really good for you whether you have a sickness or not. But without that extra care and help that we needed, I basically was forced to get COVID, because who's gonna help take care of me if my mom doesn't? Oh, and after the second week, my agency made my daytime aide leave, even though she said that she would stay. So then after that, my mom had to help get me ready in the morning and help me with my programs every other night. So if I didn't have COVID already, I was going to get it. So as a community, I think that we have to come together and figure out a way that we can better approach situations like this. If we could have some more PPE given to the CNAs and people who are just going to be caregivers at people's homes, because if my mom was too sick and not able to come and get me out of the bed, then I would have been laying in bed all day, you know? I'm extremely fortunate to have close family and friends that would be like, oh, no, that's not going to happen. We're going to come help you. But for someone that doesn't have that, if the only person that takes care of them gets extremely sick and everyone else doesn't have the equipment that they need to properly execute the job, then they're kind of SOL. So I hope you guys enjoyed this story time today. Please like, comment, and subscribe. Definitely in the comment section, let me know whether you are in the disability community or not. What are some ideas that we could come up with? And let me know if you have any questions about how I got through COVID that I didn't answer for you. This is the Jackson of Jackson2Patterson. I hope you share this video with your friends, family, and foes. And I hope to see you in the next one. Don't forget to subscribe. Love you so much. Also, I would just like to state, besides me and my mom, nobody else who entered my household got COVID. Not my caregiver, not my brother, not my fiance. Everybody else was all clear, so either they have extremely good immune systems or the masks actually work. Oh, and also Curtis, the Patterson of Jackson2Patterson, wants me to let you guys know where he was during all this. Unfortunately, he had to be banned from the house, and he was really disappointed because my dad came over. Because my dad came over there and was helping us, and he's like, oh, so everybody can come over but me. So we had to go a whole almost 3 weeks without seeing each other, but we took it back to the old school days of talking on the phone and video chatting, and you know, it really proved to me that, you know, this relationship will last and it'll make it.